I call this one Greensburg's 100th birthday because it shows the town when Greensburg was celebrating its 100th anniversary as a incorporated entity. Greensburg was incorporated in 1899, and this book was actually was incorporated in 1799, and the book was published in 1899. The town did exist before that, but it was not an incorporated entity and thus had no legal existence. So its birthday is counted from 1799. And in that book, there is this picture that shows of the old days from 1840, showing the town looking from up in Ludwig, or Bunker Hill as they call it. And you can see the roads, Ottoman Street coming up and Pittsburgh Street coming up. And here's the courthouse up here. This was the older courthouse. Now this was the courthouse that was built in 1854. It was the third courthouse. You also see the jail here. That was the second courthouse. That was sufficient until the railroad was built, at which time things picked up and they needed a bigger courthouse. There was a lot of stuff to do. That's the present courthouse, the one that we have right now. That's one of my images that I made. It might look like something from long ago and far away, but it's actually what's there today. This was one of the town's first schools. It sat down in St. Clair Park. If you've ever been down to St. Clair Park and seen the old log cabin, that old log cabin replica sat just where this house, just where this school sits. This was more or less an elementary school, and was for the borough kids, and it was built in 1833. Now, if you've ever wondered where the term Academy Hill came from, this is the old academy that sat up there between the streets up there, right across from where the Catholic Church is now. That is a high school that was built up there in 1896, and that has been replaced. That was nearly new when this publication was put out. But that's gone now for the middle schools now up there. Here we see a view of those buildings. This is the high school that we saw the picture of just now. This is the academy. That's the old Catholic Church. That's Main Street. And we move on. That was the Greensburg Seminary. Sat over on West Pittsburgh Street and Seminary Avenue. Seminaries then did not have the same meaning that they have now, necessarily. They were simply a place for the seeds of learning to be planted and grow. I mean, now we think of a seminary as someone studies for the ministry, but it wasn't always that way. That's the building that's up there now. It was the old Lynch Mansion. It has been converted into offices for an insurance company. That's Seton Hill. And in 1899, this was also called a seminary. And this building was only about 10 years old when the book was published in 1899. That's a woodcut I did of that building, the front of it. This takes us down to Main Street and right up the hill from the courthouse on the other side. Mrs. Weldy lived there. The Weldys used to own a place on the corner right down below there. It's called the Weldy Corner. They sold a lot of stuff there. That's the place now. You can see this up here is still visible. I can't say that they really improved the place, but that's what's there. You've probably seen this. This is another house that was occupied by the Weldys. It was on West Ottoman Street. And the Weldys settled in Greensburg in the late 1700s, and not very far away from here. That's the house now. It still sits there, and we'll see where the Weldys settled. This was their original dwelling. The old original founder of the Weldy family settled. It's over on Pittsburgh Street and right up above what's now Bell Way. This was on Pittsburgh Street also. This was on East Pittsburgh Street, right where St. Clair intersects. And it was a carriage works right in town. Greensburg used to be known as a wagon town. They made a lot of carriages and wagons here. In fact, at one time it was the main occupation of guys who were living here. That's what's there now. Pittsburgh Street here, St. Clair here. The old carriage works used to sit right there. That was the Stark Hotel. And that building is still there. The next thing we'll see will be up at that corner up there. That was the Starks also. The whole block was known as the Stark block. And it's amazing how much the front of that building has changed, although the building itself remains. That's the Rialto. It also looks like they managed to raise the sidewalk a bit there. Before that building was there, where the Rialto now sits, there was an older tavern. The Spread Eagle sat there, and it had been there since the 1700s. And George Albert, in his history, said the old wagon drivers used to spend many jolly hours there. This is something you probably recognize on the corner of Main and Otterman. In this corner back there was a very humble little dwelling before that big building was built. It was Charlie Barkley's cabin. We don't know much about Charlie Barkley's cabin. We would probably never have heard about him if it hadn't been his house showed up in a book that was published in 1927 showing the town, showing this picture in 1857, and I did a woodcut from it. I think we've gone far enough. I think I'll continue this in a second one. And we'll say so long now and see you later. Bye.